By now, you have probably heard the big news that has the internet aflutter. The Panama Papers, a gigantic leak from a company called Mossack Fonseca that specializes in creating offshore shell companies for the rich and the famous, the powerful, who hide their resources to avoid taxation. It just kind of tickles our ears and we say, it's always been. You know, people have been on the take forever, it's just what is. But there are real lives that have been impacted by the work that Mossack Fonseca does and those who seek to hide their resources. For instance, one of the people they helped, rich business tycoons, a Russian oligarch, had a penchant for buying and selling young girls. He would abuse them and then sell them to friends. Now, Mossack Fonseca knew of what he was doing, but they still took care of his business and never reported him to anyone. So when avarice and selfishness comes to the fore, people are really hurt by it. In fact, Ellen White writes in the book Counsels on Stewardship, she says that selfishness is at odds with love and benevolence. Page 23 of that book, Counsels on Stewardship, she says that selfishness is one of those sins that is at the core, it's at the essence of all depravity. Because our concern for who we are, when that becomes the foregrounded concern of our lives, it tends to oppress other people and causes them to see harm and hurt. However, this need not be the case. If we yield our hearts to God, He comes in and He begins to dislodge the selfishness that forms a cancer at the core of our being. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5 and verse 10, King Solomon, a man who knew a thing or two about wealth and power, said that, the danger in wealth is that when you get it, it never satiates the human heart. You always want more. That's one of the curses of wealth. Young Timothy needed a word of admonition. And the Apostle Paul said to him in 1 Timothy 6 and verse 10, that the love of money is at the root of all kinds of evil. Many who get led down that road are pierced with many griefs, says the Apostle Paul. And Paul is right. Those concerned primarily with getting and with having and with protecting their resources are often feel the curse and the pain of trying to protect something in this world that ultimately they cannot protect. So what is God saying to us? Let me come into your life and dislodge the selfishness at the core of your being. And in fact, Ellen White goes on to say in page 25 of Counsels on Stewardship, when we are open to give our resources to others, when we share what God has given us, we are happier. Why? Because we're actually fulfilling exactly God's purpose for our lives.